Welcome to Team Rocket Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my 1977 Toyota Celica GT, the liftback flavor. We are fabricating in a Mark IV Toyota Supra suspension. That means independent suspension, so instead of doing this, it's doing this, and that's a good time for everybody involved. The problem that I'm facing is that this car and Mark IV Supra rear end don't really have off-the-shelf options for shocks and springs. I did a little bit of the brain chewing on it, and I think that the weight distribution and overall weight for this car should be pretty similar to that of an Integra Type R. However, stuff for Integra Type Rs are expensive. They share, however, their platform largely with the Honda Civic. So we got Honda Civic rear shocks and springs, and we're gonna make those work in this. You're probably bored of this shot, but this is the Mark IV Supra suspension here, and we've got it fitted up. Now it's just tacked in place in case anything needs to change. What we need to do is this shock actually goes up to about right here. I think it's about centered to this. We're gonna have to cut some of this structure out right here. So what I'm gonna do is put the shock on the control arm. We'll lean it right against there, find where its center mark is, and then we're just gonna cut probably an inch past in each direction. Then we can make a top hat, weld it in place, and then mirror that on the other side. I'm just using a jack stand and some wood spacers to space the wheel mounting surface up to where I think it's supposed to be. I divided the diameter of the tire by 2, then added about 1.5 inches as my desired ride height. I'm expecting that these are going to compress about 3 inches, so I added that and came up with a desired amount of about 15.5 or 16 inches from fender to center of wheel mounting surface. When I was young, basically just tracing the spring and then the mounting point right there. This is going to kind of rock, so we'll cut this out and then we're actually going to make a mounting plate, put it on top of the spring, and then we'll weld it in place once we're at the satisfactory ride height. So this guy here, there's a floor right there, and then this goes up all the way to like right there. We're probably going to have to cut kind of all of that out. Let's look at the top. Here's the other side of that. Here's where the shock used to be, and here's probably about where the shock is going to be now. Quite a bit of structure in this. This is pretty thick itself. Tossed in a dream, caught in between, passing your bad predictions. When I look what I've done, what I thought I'd become, all I see is distance. I see streams, possibilities, they all string across my sight. They keep passing by, they keep passing by, like it's all passing by, and it's all passing by, like it's all passing by. So now that this is actually like up here, I'm noticing that the shock itself, it's inclined to move back a little bit. It's actually hung up on something, but if I move it pretty much as far forward as I can, let me show you what that looks like inside the car. This is probably going to be a pretty sweet little, this is going to be a sweet situation. We're going to have to cut more of this right here, but we'll be able to just cut this, just do a plate right here, and then we can reinforce off there and then down to this, which has some structure in it that's part of the actual C channel right underneath here. So that's going to work really well. We've got a shock tower brace mount I made this out of 1/8 inch steel, should be plenty strong. It's really not, there's not gonna be a ton of torsional pressure on this because it's actually spread out over the entire top hat. So let me show you how this works. So we've got this guy right here, and we have this notched so we can slide this right in place, and it's actually kind of shaped so it matches in there well. And what we need to do is just lift this up so the shock goes into the bracket here. Nice. Nice. This was going to be its final resting point. However, when I lift the car all the way up, we end up with a measurement from the center of the wheel to the outside, being that this guy would basically be 1/2 inch above that, and that's not necessarily the look that we want because we're going to be putting coilovers on this, and the rollers that we have right now are those. Now, this is a 24-inch diameter, this is a 25.6. If we put a 25.6 on there and we've only got 12 inches from center to lip, we'll actually interfere and we'll just be scrubbing on the fender. It's just going to be no good for anyone. So we're going to put a 1-inch spacer up in here, basically just to space this down. So there's basically just 3 inches from this guy right here all the way to the plate. For now, we got to duplicate this plate, cut over there, and then we can install the shock on the other side, make sure that everything lines up, we'll tack it in place, and then we'll be able to set this down on its own wheels for the first time. 5-lug, independent rear suspension, Supra suspension, Celica, all that. What's better than a shock tower top? 2 shock tower tops. What we want to do is bolt these plates on top of the shock, and then we can crank these down. That way, when the shock is welded into place, it's going to be in a comfortable position. Coilovers, some have like ball mounts, pillow mounts, blah blah blah, but like these, they don't have that. So we just want to make sure that they're kind of tight in place so we're welding them at a right angle so we're not torsioning things down. Let me grab a wrench. The way that I'm measuring this is from the factory shock mount to this plate. We're gonna go for 3 inches flat. And what that means is that we'll just lift this up and lift this up just until they're at 3 inches. Then we're gonna double check the measurements on both sides, looking under the car, distance from like fender gap to wheel, things like that. Just make sure everything all makes sense and is, you know, conducive. doing some welding, and some of those arcs were some crazy colors because I was welding through like seam sealer and things like that. In some places it's just a matter of tacking it in place so we can get it on the ground and measure it under its own weight. But holy cow, yeah, see, there's the seam sealer I was going through, but we got some things in there just holding that in place, and we'll weld that prettier and get some reinforcement around it. But for now, we're ready to let this thing air out while I go and get some Mustang wheels to put on this. And this thing's going to sit on 5-lug wheels for the first time in its life. Okay, that is not a ton of gap right there. We'll see what happens. First in the world, 77 Celica Toyota Supra rear suspension, shocks and springs from a Honda Civic, and Mach 1 wheels, because why not? Lift it up, so we'll unclick it. All right, that's good. Pull the thing. All right, bring her down. Is it hitting the fender? Oh, can you see? Hold on, coming around. Oh, no, it's just making noises. What?
How about the front of this fender?
Oh, that's fair. It should be moving backwards. No, we got clearance. We're gonna run slightly smaller tires. All right. Oh.
Keep going?
Yeah. It literally just rolled. Look at her. All right. Oh my gosh, I'm terrified. What if I just like push down on it and a shock just blasts through the rear window?
That would suck.
Price of admission, I guess. Oh, it's the lift that we're hitting. Dude. Oh man, look at her. All of my metal glue gun stuff. Look at that, dude. That's like I feel like that's a pretty healthy place to start. Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay. Looking at how far this sticks out, honestly, we're probably going to have a situation where the front's not going to steer almost at all. Not with these anyways. All right, I really shouldn't be doing that too much there, but because we need a lot of structure added. All right, if you want to be the... All right, that's a Honda Civic shock and spring inside of a 1977 Toyota Celica with a 1996 Toyota Supra subframe and independent rear suspension. If you like stuff like this, hit the subscribe button right there. And YouTube likes to tell you the absolute best video that you should watch, so hit it right there. And I'll see ya in the next one.